everything changes so fast in the greenhouse at this time of year that it seems pointless waiting a month at a time to do updates. By the time a month goes, a million things could have happened in here. So for example, I now have Cayenne fruit ripening, beautiful orange colour. This is going to be a chili taste test tomorrow because it will be ripe tomorrow. It's not the only one ripening, they all seem to be going now, which is just fantastic. Our puma over here is now developing little fruits. You can see how marvellous these are before they even start to ripen. They're like two colours, so the bit that's exposed to the sun is dark purple and the underside remains green. Now when these start to ripen, this top side will turn brown and the bottom side will turn a golden yellow. And if you leave them long enough, the golden yellow will become the dominant colour, but I like them when they're that two-tone colour. Just, they look spectacular. There's quite a few fruits on this one now. Some of them smaller than others, but that's coming along nicely. But one that's came up in the last few days actually that I've noticed this. That's a little Brazilian starfish. Now I've done shorts about this Brazilian starfish plant and the rate of growth it did. I kind of gave up down here, but as you can see it's now up to here and it's going to continue up. It'll probably get up to about here by the time the season ends. It's not as big as last year's one, but it's getting there. It's in the ballpark. The Havana Golds are starting to ripen now. You can see if you can see that right at the tip, the orange colour appearing. So these are going to be very ripe soon. The whole thing will turn orange, I expect, from this sort of lime green colour that they all started out. This Cayenne here hasn't started to ripen yet, but it's got a lot more fruit than the smaller one that I just showed you. It seems to be having more fun at this end than that one is at the other. Now look down here at my Malawi bird's eye and look at that. Tons of fruit appearing on it all of a sudden. It's just the last week here we've had some phenomenal weather and we're expected to get more. In fact, I believe that down south, down in England, they're going to get temperatures of high 30s and even some places are going to top 40 degrees next week. So that's going to be probably not so great for them when you think about it. But up here we're going to get the benefit of that. Maybe we'll be a little bit cooler at sort of 30 degrees. Here are the Caligaritzas. More and more of them ripening all the time. Check out the taste test video with that. These are amazing, and I'm looking forward to more of them getting ripe because I can't wait to test them. A new problem that has arisen, and that my Carolina Reaper seems to have some sort of fungal infection, which is a shame because it was so healthy and I was so looking forward to getting fruits off of it. We have got some on it, some small ones developing, but as you can see we're also getting a lot of drop off now because of that. So I'm going to have to cut back this plant a little bit and try and rescue it, which is a shame. It's a bit of a setback. And if you look at the leaves, they're not quite as bad as the Aji Red were, but it's bad enough. If you look out here, I'm just chucking the leaves out here now. I'm keeping them away from the rest of the plants. They'll go out to compost. This plant here, I just noticed this as well, the Hainan Yellow Lantern. These fruits developing, which is good. I'm looking forward to those because I've heard a lot of good things about those. Underneath here, you can just about make out these are orange Habaneros, I think. And next to that, we have the red Habaneros. Obviously, they're all green now. Things will change when they ripen, but I don't need to tell you that, do I? And this is my Zimbabwe Black. I don't know if you can make out the fruits on these. lovely sort of black peri-peri shaped fruits, and these will ripen to red eventually. But the plant, look at the plant, the flowers, those purple flowers. Isn't that beautiful? It's a great plant. The Chinese dragon tongue is coming along pretty well. I did kind of a video the other day where I showed you the ripening fruit, and that one's not far off a taste test now either. Try and get the leaves out of the way. They look amazing. I'm looking forward to trying those, although I'm kind of bracing myself for it. Oh, there's another Cayenne, because I believe they're very, very hot indeed. The 7-pot yellow, that is the most prolific super hot I've ever grown. I've never seen so many fruits on a super hot chili plant. And these are, I mean, they're not small either. They're getting bigger. They're growing in these little sort of clusters. I'm very much looking forward to that. I know I say that a lot, don't I? I need to learn to shut up. But here, I noticed the other day as well, I have my hot chocolates are coming as well. These are also Chinense, and they're also very good. I've made sauces with these. I've made a sauce with those and Padrons, I think, I mixed last year, which is still up in the house. I haven't really opened those bottles yet to taste them, because I've still got tons left from all the other sauce I made last year, so I haven't quite got to those yet. So I can't even remember, what did I call them? I can't remember. I'll put that in the next video anyway, because I'm gonna do a video about hot sauces I've already made, and I still have a lot in the fermentation fridge from last year, which I need to do. I need to start making sauces from to make room for all this new stuff. Now, here's the weird plant at the back. As you can see, it's got a lot of Padron type flowers, fruits on it. And if I can find one, so there we are. Yeah, there's another Padron one, and then right next to it, we've got these sort of bizarre Cayenne shaped chilies as well. So that one's still a mystery to me. I don't know how that happened. That is absolutely bizarre. Next to that we have my Butcherlocke, and I don't think I have any fruit in this yet. Let's have a look. It's starting to bush out, so the Butcherlocke take a while, and eventually they bush out and start growing sideways, and it's going to grow. I put it next to the Brazilian starfish because it's tall and it leaves a lot of room, but I didn't realise that the Havana Gold was going to bush out so soon and crowd everything out. So we're going to need to sort that in some way, or get the Butcherlocke moved somewhere where it's got more room. But I can't see any fruit on it yet. It's had plenty of flowers, and I don't see much drop off, so it's just slow to develop, I think. I didn't get much fruit off my Butcherlocke as last year, so hopefully this year's a little bit better. And another problem that I wanted to capture in a video, and I've just spotted it. I've mentioned that before, and we still have the problem, even though I kind of root them out and find them, we still have this issue where what we call clip shears are burrowing their way into chilies and making holes in them like that. And it seems to happen this side, so I think that maybe there is a gap at the back between the slabs and the outside that they may be getting in. So I'm gonna try and block that off to prevent that. I don't use pesticides. I don't do anything like that. I try to be as organic as I possibly can. Obviously, with some chili feeds, when you've got this many plants and they're all in pots, sometimes you beggars can't be choosers, you know, and you have to use whatever is at your disposal to keep the growth going, and to keep pest numbers, etc. down. But in saying that, I've managed to avoid pesticides up to this point. Here's the other one, a Sugar Rush Peach. This has got a lot of fruit on it. I didn't notice, going all the way up. But this one also has the same problem sort of as the Aji Red, although not as bad because the leaves aren't dropping off. They are kind of turning discoloured like this, but they're not as bad as the Aji Red. I'll pick that up off the floor. Keep hold of that now. No others in here. Got any fruit on them yet? This is a Tatal Sus. This is the same as the one in the corner. I'm waiting on this one getting fruit so that I can compare it, because that's the weird one that's up in the corner that seems to have two different kinds of fruit on the same plant. So this one here hasn't got any yet, and this is getting a lot of drop off. I suspect it's because it's drier up this end that this is getting a little bit of drop off, so the flowers aren't getting pollinated properly because we're so near the door. So I'll spray that one to see if that remedies it. So we'll head over to the wee greenhouse, the small one. As I said before, this greenhouse here, everything's in the ground, apart from the Aji Red. As you can see, I stripped all of that back to try and combat this infection it's got. It doesn't seem to be working, so I think this plant's for the compost heap. You know, there are flowers on it, but there's nothing I can do. Everything drops off, the leaves drop off. And yeah, compost heap before it starts infecting everything else, I think. At the back, the Cayennes are coming along great. I'll just squeeze past all this here. The Cayennes have started coming along. They took a long time to get going. And it's because they're in the ground here. I mean, the difference between being in the ground, even inside a greenhouse, and being inside a pot is that the pot is a lot warmer than the ground here. And the ground here, in where I am, west coast of Fife in Scotland, the ground where the roots are is still just as cold or as warm as outside at the same depth. And it takes a while until this time of year before, you know, that's optimal for chilli growth. So these ones, even though they went in at the same time as the pots, all of these are only just now developing fruit and flowers. The Cayenne, gratifyingly, has also got some fruit on it now, which is good. So I've got these 4 Cayenne plants. These are kind of my staples, along with what I hoped was Peripheries. That's an ongoing saga if you're new to this. And my Fuegos here. So my Fuegos have, if you don't know what a Fuego is basically an F1 type, and it's a hybrid of a Cayenne and something else, and they produce these beautiful long straight fruits, almost like Cayennes. There's a bigger one. And I've got 2 of those plants. There's another one over here, which I think has now got a few biggish fruits on it as well. Yep, there we are. They're curling up, which they don't usually do. Fuegos usually go quite straight. A little bit of drop off on that one, but it's getting fruit, so obviously something's happening. Right, there's plenty of condensation in here, which means it's humid. It's humid enough for the flowers to be able to pollinate themselves. But this is one of my 4 not peri-peri plants that I don't know what they are. The ones that I've inadvertently crossed, I believe, last year. And we'll soon find out what they are properly. This is not, they still don't look quite like African bird's eye plants. The clumps of the fruit aren't right, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that one. This one over here I think is ripening. This is one of the not Peripheries that I believe the fruit is starting to ripen. So we'll soon get a taste test of it, and I'll probably know from the taste test what it is. These are my Ring of Fire, which again, like smaller, hotter Cayennes. These ones seem to have, that's another one there, they seem to have a lot more fruit on them now, which is making me very happy, because for a long time it didn't look like any of these plants were going to give me anything. The Padrons, as I've already said, I've already picked a few Padrons. I've done a short on that, just a little short. And these are looking amazing. You can see the resemblance between these and the ones through in the other greenhouse that are grown 2 different ways. But the plants are not the same. They're not quite the same. They just look like similar, if you know what I mean. Which is weird. So that one must be a cross. That must be come from cross seeds or something. So there we go. The Padrons are actually starting to push fruit out. These are brilliant, by the way. They're brilliant plants for if you like a lot of chilies and you want to pick them really uber fast. This is the best time to have them, actually. It's the best time to have them when they're small and green like that, before they get their heat, because that's when they're at their most flavoursome, believe it or not. The Padrons, when they get ripe, they've got a bit of heat in them, but it's kind of a sickly heat. It kind of catches in the back of your throat a little bit, I feel. You may find different, but to me, they're not as edible as a Cayenne when they're ripe. This is my this is the wild Lombok, and there's some fruit developing now, very small. I don't know how big these are supposed to get. I can't remember what the pictures looked like when I picked them, when I first chose these. I'll have to remind myself. But wild, because they're wild, does that mean that they're going to be kind of small? Because I know that wild chilies are generally quite small. So if anybody knows, save me going and looking. Let me know in the comments if you've grown these before and you expect them to get any bigger. The reason I put the wild Lombok and the Chumbo at the back is because going by the measurements that I was given of how big the plants get, I thought these would get bigger than these 2 jalapenos, but they're kind of being dwarfed by them a little bit at the minute. So we'll see if that changes. But in the last video, I noticed there was a bit of corking starting to happen now on the farmer's market potato chilies. You can see that's getting more and more corked as we go. As this grows now, it's just the skin will split more and more. So I'm hoping it does get kind of big. But I mean, look at that. Look at all of the fruit on that. It's insane the amount of fruit these can carry, the jalapenos can carry. I mean, I could pick these just now and they'd be fantastic. And I've been tempted to pick off a few just to encourage a bit of growth, but I'm just going to leave them and see what happens. The plant's in the ground, so it should be able to support a lot of fruit. You know, it's not like it's in a pot and its roots are constricted. It's free to put its roots wherever it likes. And it's in probably the most fertile blended manure that money can buy. So it's not like it's not got the support in the ground, that the materials aren't there for it to use. So it should be fine. This is the Jaloro. The other day I noticed that we were getting fruit, and now that fruit is starting to grow, which is fantastic because, as I keep saying, this is my favourite chili. This is my favourite jalapeno type. Quite a lot of them in there now, as you can see. I'll just take the flower off the end of that. It's not important to take the flowers off the end of chilies unless that happens. Now that's oh, I don't know if has that happened because that flower's been left on the end and it started to rot. I've not seen that before. I've not seen that with any chilies I've grown before. I've seen that kind of thing with tomatoes, but not chilies. So I hope that's not an issue. The plant looks extremely healthy, so it's perhaps just this fruit. It's one thing I kind of do all of the time, and I don't know how absolutely necessary it is, but I have noticed that if the flower does stay on the plant and you're in damp conditions, it can actually mark, you know, the skin of the plant and cause like deformities in the chili. You know, the chili can start growing at an angle because a bit of the flower's sitting there, so it kind of grows around it and you end up with a kink in it. But I mean, that's all just cosmetic. It doesn't affect the chili itself or how tasty it is or how edible it is. But I suppose there's an example of why maybe you should do that, because that on the end there is the flower still stuck to it. I'll need to keep an eye on that plant now, just to make sure that doesn't continue happening. That's not nice. Anyway, I've got my two little bunchies in here now as well. They're doing fantastically well. Tiny little pots. I'm not watering them a lot. I'm just keeping the soil sort of damp to the touch. Not too much so, and it seems to be working out okay because they're growing and they're getting lots of flowers, and this one even has a little fruit, which is good. This one is a Dorset zinger. So the fruit on this is now just the same size as the Dorset zinger I've got in the 11-litre pot through in the big greenhouse. So that's good. I wasn't expecting that to grow so well, and that's doing really well. I just need to give it a trim now and try and get it into the shape that I want it to get into, because it's bushing up, you know, nicely, so I can start to dictate the shape of it if I want. This one here, different story. This one's growing up the way, and it's kind of been attacked by pests a little bit, the lower leaves. This one had a nutrition problem when I first put it in because I was watering it and forgetting to feed it, and obviously it ran out of nutrients fairly quickly in this little pot. So the leaves started turning yellow. But as soon as I fed it, by the way, that's not whitefly, that's just marks on the leaves. I've checked. Once I fed it, it started coming along. See, there's new growth coming along at the bottom. I'm going to let all that new growth come out. I don't want it to keep going like that. I don't want it to be this big leggy horrible plant. So if some of these, I'm going to train some of these lower leaves, lower branches that are coming out along, and try and trim it down to make it a little bit more compact. Obviously these sort of discoloured leaves and the eaten leaves, that's probably the ideal example of why you should take yellowing leaves off, because they just become a target for pests, you know. The leaves kind of, fermenting leaves, they give off a kind of alcohol-y smell, don't they? They kind of create alcohol, fermenting fruit, all of that. And that's what attracts the slugs. That's why beard traps and things like that work on slugs. This one also has a little fruit at the top. Just pick off the dead flower on it. That's awesome. What one is that? I forget what they are. This one's label has fell out. I'm pretty sure it's a Bengal naga though, or a Maruga scorpion, or a Trinidad scorpion. The label is lying about in the other greenhouse. When I picked it up, it fell on the floor, so I'll double check that. But I'm fairly sure I mentioned it in a previous video, so anybody watching this who's watched any of the previous videos where I've shown these is probably screaming at the screen just now, saying it's a Trinidad, it's a Maruga, I don't know. Anyway, at the back there, I keep neglecting to mention that's the Havana Gold as well. That's one that just never grew very big, and it's still not grown very big in that 2-litre pot. Both of the Havana Golds went through the same process, and the other one was actually twice that size in the 2-litre pot before I transplanted it into the 11-litre pot. But this one just never got very much bigger. Crazy. I don't know if if the roots got damaged, who knows. But it's still producing fruit, and it still looks like it wants to do its thing, so I'm just leaving it. I might save seeds off for that one. I'll see if that one ripens any quicker than the other one. So that's that. Apart from, I mentioned the aji chombo, favourite chili plant. More favourite than a Jaloro, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the fruit on that. I can see lots of flowers coming on that now, so that's going to be great. A few sauces in mind for that. So yeah, I'll do a video at some point. Yeah, I'll get all the sauces together that I made last year and talk you through what they are, how I made them, and then I'll probably in the same video process the fermentations that have been in since last year. So a lot of them really need to come out. I've got vacuum fermentations that need to come out, and I have do I have any more brine fermentations? I don't think I do. I think they're all mash fermentations in vacuum packs. and there's probably about 9 of varying degrees of heat and variety. So I'll process kind of them one by one, but I need to figure out how I'm gonna film that, how I'm gonna capture all of that process. But that needs to be done very soon, because as I've shown you, these are all producing fruit now, and this year's fermentation season is about to begin, is imminent, in fact, because the Cayennes won't take long now to ripen, and they're going to be the basis of a lot of the sauces and the fermentations that I'm going to be doing. So that's something for anybody who's interested in hot sauces, who's following this because they see the tags, the hot sauce tags on all my videos, and that'll happen very shortly. Although not in the next week. I go on holiday next week. I'll be gone for 9 glorious days of sunshine, and when I come back, I'll probably do that. I'll be taking all these Padrons with me to fry up, and I might just make a little video of how I prepare those and what I do with them while I'm away, just to kind of tide things over until I get back. In fact, that'll be a good idea. I will do that. And do the taste test with them. But there will be 2 more taste test videos this week before I go, I believe, because the Cayenne will be tomorrow. That's going to be ready tomorrow, and the Chinese dragon tongue will definitely be ready by midweek. So that's other things to look forward to. I'm not looking forward to the Chinese dragon tongue, but anybody who wants a good laugh and who wants to see pain in my face, you can look forward to that one. Yeah, thanks for watching.